The state is crumbling under mismanagement, and we're here today to address the consequences. Those were the opening words from former President Donald Trump as he took the podium at a press conference in the Los Angeles area, aiming to shed light on the recent landslide crisis that has devastated the city of Rancho Palos Verdes. What was expected to be a focused discussion on the landslides and their effects quickly turned into a sharp critique of California's political leadership. The devastation in Rancho Palos Verdes. A local crisis unfolds. Over the past few weeks, relentless rains have caused large-scale landslides in Rancho Palos Verdes, a city perched along the cliffs of the Pacific Ocean. Hundreds of homes are damaged, many of them condemned, leaving families displaced and desperate for answers. Thousands of residents now find themselves living in uncertainty as the ground beneath their feet continues to shift. The damage has not only affected property owners, but has severely impacted local businesses, infrastructure, and the entire community's sense of security. Standing alongside Trump at the press conference was the mayor of Rancho Palos Verdes, who spoke about the scope of the destruction. The mayor painted a dire picture, stating that the city is facing one of the worst natural disasters in its history, one that has outstripped local resources and overwhelmed the capacity of city services. The mayor made it clear, Rancho Palos Verdes needs help, and fast. Trump's critique attacking state leadership. Trump, however, had his own agenda. After briefly acknowledging the severity of the landslides and expressing his sympathy for the affected residents, the former president quickly pivoted to a broader critique of California's political landscape. This is what happens when you let politicians like Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom run your state, Trump stated, his voice booming as he gestured toward the cameras. Trump accused the state's leadership of not just mishandling the natural disaster response, but allowing the broader issues of crime, homelessness, and illegal immigration to erode the foundation of the state. His tone was defiant as he laid the blame directly on the current administration, calling California a dumping ground for criminals. Escalating criticism, targeting Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom. The former president wasted no time in singling out Vice President Kamala Harris, who he linked to policies that he claimed had contributed to California's decline. When Kamala was your district attorney and attorney general, what happened? Violent crime soared, Trump remarked, his face hardening. He went on to cite specific cases where individuals granted sanctuary in California under Harris's policies later went on to commit violent crimes. Harris's soft-on-crime policies have endangered every resident in California. It's a tragedy that could have been avoided if we had leadership focused on protecting its citizens rather than criminals, Trump asserted, drawing applause from some in the audience. Next, Trump turned his attention to California Governor Gavin Newsom, accusing him of exacerbating the homelessness crisis and failing to secure the state's economy. Look around Los Angeles, look at San Francisco, you see tent cities, crime running rampant, businesses closing down, and families like those here in Rancho Palos Verdes left to fend for themselves after disasters. Trump linked these issues directly to Newsom's policies, painting a grim picture of a state falling apart. He framed the landslides as part of a broader pattern of neglect by the state's leadership, accusing both Newsom and Harris of prioritizing political ambitions over the needs of ordinary Californians. The border. President Trump's vision of law and order. Shifting the focus to national issues, Trump positioned himself as the law and order leader America needed once more. He described his tenure in the White House as a period of stability and safety, contrasting it with what he called the chaos of the current administration. "They call me the border president for a reason," Trump said, bringing the conversation to his signature issue, immigration. According to Trump, California's sanctuary policies have made it a magnet for illegal immigrants and violent criminals. He claimed the southern border is more porous than ever under President Joe Biden, and that it is this failure in immigration control that has fueled crime rates in California's cities. Trump didn't shy away from his broader political ambitions during the press conference. "If I were in office, the borders would be secure, California would be safer, and we'd never see the kind of devastation we're seeing now, both with these landslides and in the streets of cities like Los Angeles." He made it clear that if re-elected, he would not only secure the borders, but also bring law and order back to America, a promise that drew cheers from the supporters present. local needs, or national ambitions. While Trump supporters lauded his fiery speech, some local residents expressed frustration, hoping the former president would stay focused on the immediate disaster. The landslides had caused real, tangible harm: homes destroyed, families displaced, and livelihoods at risk. Rancho Palos Verdes officials, including the mayor, stressed the need for immediate action and funding from the state and federal governments to rebuild infrastructure, reinforce vulnerable areas, and assist those left homeless by the disaster. However, despite these pressing concerns, much of Trump's remarks concentrated on national political issues, immigration, and crime. His brief acknowledgement of the landslide seemed almost overshadowed by his broader critique of Democratic leadership. For many, the question was whether Trump's visit would actually translate into tangible help for the residents of Rancho Palos Verdes, or if it was more of a platform for his potential 2024 campaign. The aftermath. What comes next for Rancho Palos Verdes? As the press conference came to a close, the community of Rancho Palos Verdes was left with as many questions as answers. Would the state and federal government step up to provide the aid needed to rebuild? Would Trump's spotlight on the issue bring the national attention necessary to mobilize resources? For the moment, residents remained in limbo, hopeful that the former president's words might turn into action, but wary of the political theater that often surrounds such high-profile visits. Meanwhile, the landslides continue to threaten, and the need for decisive action grows more urgent with each passing day. Trump's press conference in Los Angeles was more than just a call for help in the wake of a natural disaster. It was a reminder that in today's political climate, even local tragedies can become battlegrounds for national debate. As Rancho Palos Verdes rebuilds, the residents will have to wait and see whether the promises made on the podium turn into the support they desperately need.